It's interesting to me how we get very romantic about this idea of being a YouTuber. And I think as far as content creators go, at least from my perspective, the number one platform that you could be on, or if there was one thing that was romanticized the most about being the top of is YouTube. Like it's fine to be an Instagram influencer or whatever that is. And, you know, there's people who have big Facebook pages and, you know, notable people on Twitter. But when you're a YouTuber, that carries a special weight to it. But it's interesting as, you know, I compare the differences between YouTube and Facebook as far as video platforms go, and I'm amazed how many people say, oh, I'm not even on Facebook. Why would I post videos on Facebook? Is anybody on Facebook? And I'm here to tell you today that Facebook, as far as having a big reach, I think is actually a much more powerful tool for breaking through all the noise than YouTube is. I'm going to clarify that in a second. Now, let me just contrast these things. The community on YouTube is incredible. And when you build a following on YouTube, it's pretty cool to see. And Facebook's algorithm can make it harder for people who follow you to consistently see your content, which I know there are some struggles on YouTube. Like people like, hey, my subscribers didn't get notifications. But it is nothing compared to Facebook. But here's the reason why I think Facebook probably ends up winning in the long term for creators. And it's this idea that Facebook has a share button. And what that means is when you post a video on Facebook, if people who see the video really like it, they share it. Now, YouTube technically has a share button. Like I can share somebody else's videos, which may actually be helpful because I think I have 12,000 subscribers. So some people would actually see it. But I would say the majority of people who consume YouTube content aren't really creators themselves. They're just here to consume videos. And so if they were to click share, it would just go to no one because they don't have subscribers, the vast majority. Obviously, there are a few that do. The difference is on Facebook, everybody has friends on Facebook. Last time I heard a stat, it was like an average of 290 friends. And so if you put out a piece of content and 100 people share it to their 290 people each, suddenly it's reaching a big audience. Where on YouTube, if 100 people share it, unless there's big creators in there, they're not really going to see it. And even then, that's not the way people consume YouTube videos. They don't consume shares from other creators where that is normal in Facebook. The big reason why this is important is YouTube right now, you are at the mercy of the search algorithm basically to try and get your content out there. And it's interesting because it pushes some people away from creating what is good content and into creating searchable content that's really searchable. And it's interesting the way that I think it's polluting that, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a video with the right keywords and I guess enough controversy and things in it that don't mean that it's a good video as judged by people. It means it's a good video as judged by a search algorithm. Back in the day, you used to have the option where when you created a good video, people would go to Facebook and they would share that YouTube video on Facebook or on Twitter or on these other platforms. But now that they all serve their own media, you can have native videos on Twitter, and Facebook is a massive video platform itself now. And if you post a YouTube video to Facebook, it doesn't autoplay. The algorithm punishes you for posting a YouTube video instead of uploading it directly to Facebook, and it doesn't work in the same way. And so the question is on YouTube, how do you get your videos found unless it's something that people are searching for? And it's incredibly difficult. Maybe a little bit of word of mouth. You can take the other strategies where you're trying to comment on other people's videos and get them to, somehow be interested in you and come look at your content. But it's very, very difficult to get your videos out there. I guess I'm fortunate because a lot of my videos are on tech things that people are searching terms for, and so that's how I've built my audience. But the interesting thing is, I think over the last 4 or 5 years, I have 1.5 million views on YouTube. And that is a fantastic amount of views. On Facebook last year, our other channel that I do, Justin and Greg, had 17 million views on Facebook. And when we started the year last year, I think we had 5,000 or 6,000 likes on our Facebook page. And now I think we're up to 31,000. But even then, the majority of our content gets consumed by people who don't even follow us because of the share button, i.e. Rural Uber, which itself has 10.7 million views because it has 250,000 shares where people click the share button and got it out to people. The other interesting thing about Facebook that I think benefits from that is Facebook is also more of a news source. I will air quote news source because lots of stuff that gets shared on there is not really news. And I'm not saying like fake news, but it's satire. It's very difficult. But what's interesting is to see how reporters monitor what's happening on Facebook. And we have a few stories that have made massive news headlines. The most recent one was there's a small city down the street. It's called Moose Jaw. Yeah, Moose Jaw. And we found out that they lost the title for having the world's tallest moose statue. And we said, this cannot stand. And we went in front of the moose and we called on the mayor to say, hey, Mayor Fraser told me you can't let this stand. You need to beat the Norwegians who had stolen the moose title by building a moose 1 foot taller and intentionally making it much nicer than our moose. Well, the video over the weekend did fairly well. It got like 200,000 views, but I still thought that would be localized around our city where we live until over the weekend. We posted on Friday. On Tuesday, we get a call from a reporter at the Daily Mail, which, if you don't know the Daily Mail, it's a big news source. And he had somehow caught wind of the story because he had seen it on Facebook because it had gotten shared, I don't know, 1,000 times. And, it progressively went out there. Again, went way beyond our own audience. And not because of a search algorithm, because people watched the video, thought it was funny or thought it was interesting, and they shared it with their audience. So he ends up talking to us. We give him the mayor's number. He calls the mayor. He calls the Norwegians. And they're like, what is going on here? Anyway, long story short, it ended up being on CNN and The Guardian and the New York Times and the Washington Post, and Stephen Colbert made fun of it. And so many things happen, but it all started on Facebook because Facebook is a really interesting platform for news sources, as well as the other side of it is if you create good content on Facebook, people share the content. And that content goes out to another audience and more stuff can pick up on it. And that's how we ended up becoming like media in the NHL. That's how we ended up finding our way into Jimmy Fallon's studio to get a private tour and deliver everything that we've done with Justin and Greg, this other platform. We have hardly any subscribers on YouTube because we've made a prominent effort on Facebook, but it's really working and you can punch way above your weight class when you have good content because if people see the content, they can share it out there. And I just think it's something important for a lot of people who are watching this where you may just be being romantic about YouTube because you want to be a YouTuber, and I love the community of YouTube and it's amazing, but don't discount Facebook if what your goal is to get your content out to people. Now, having spent an enormous amount of time on Facebook, there are obvious differences. People don't typically watch content as long on Facebook because that's not why they're coming to Facebook to watch long-form video, where we all come to YouTube and you're fine sitting through whatever it's going to be, a 10, 15-minute long video. Some of you are gone already. That's fine. Goodbye. See you later. But that's kind of what we do. We want to consume longer form content. And it's not that people won't watch that on Facebook. It's just not typical. So your average watch times are going to be shorter, but there are some people who are going to watch longer form content, but it's great. Oftentimes we make a 6, 7, 10, 12-minute cut for YouTube, and then we'll make a 2.5-minute super cut. Something like that, like a shortened down version that's a little bit more consumable and shareable on Facebook. So, that's important to see. The other thing about Facebook that's actually kind of nice is it's not anonymous commenters. Like the people who are commenting there they have a Facebook profile. Typically they're real people connected to something. And in some ways, not that you can't get nasty comments there, but it can be very different than YouTube, kind of in a good way there. As I mentioned before, there's the share button. What else can I say about it? The algorithm. You are more at the mercy of the algorithm on Facebook, meaning this. If you have a Facebook page and you have 1,000 people who follow you, when you post a video, not all 1,000 people are going to see it. Only a certain percentage, typically a small percentage of them are going to see it. How you can ensure that more people see it is when you put out a good piece of video and people like it and they comment on it and they share it, then Facebook shows it to more and more people. What's cool about that is typically when I post a video to my subscribers, The only people who are going to see it are either my subscribers or people who are searching for terms in my video. But again, on Facebook, we've had it many times where, you know, we've had one video reach over 20 million people out there. 10 million of them chose to watch it, but the reach became astronomical because, again, Facebook is a sharing platform. So there are a number of things where I would just encourage people, it's not that much more work, and especially if you're creating small, fun, interesting, engaging, shareable content, Facebook could be a really powerful platform for you to make some serious noise in the world. And again, not just speaking to the YouTube community, but like in the past month, we have been interviewed by almost all of the major news sources, you know, in the world. Not all of them, but we're talking about BBC, The Guardian, CNN. We were on BBC World Service, the #1 broadcast in the world, you know, quoted in the Washington Post and in all the Canadian national news outlets and, you know, just everywhere because of something that we started on Facebook that went so far beyond the community that is just on Facebook. And so I just want to say, don't be afraid of the F word, Facebook. It's a really interesting platform and you're already creating videos. Dive into it and it's very interesting to see what can happen. And that's my unstructured thought for the evening. I'm just going to put it out there. I think I'll put some links down below if you're curious to check out the other videos that we made and some of the news sources and different things. But I mean, if you want an update on this channel, that is where most of my creative energy goes. But what I want to flip to on this side is more kind of practical videos that aren't, you know, always super highly edited. They're not, yeah, I mean, I love making those kind of videos, but the time and energy I have are for things like this, where I want them to be high value, helpful in different ways, get into some more like tips and tricks for, I don't know, even just what I'm learning on these journeys, and hopefully it'll be helpful to you, but they're going to be more like this for a little bit until something changes. But yeah, Canon EOS R, 35mm f1.8, and I have these new Audio-Technica wireless systems where you can stack two on top of a DSLR with a Y cable and have both Greg and myself with wireless lavs, rechargeable batteries on the receivers, which is cool. And I guess, ooh, the light, depending on the light, yeah, they're pretty unnoticeable, a little bit. Anyway, that's on the tech side of what we're doing here. So anyway, I'm just thank you guys for watching.